Welcome in, everyone, here on Sports Den. I'm Blythe Whaley alongside Bill Huff. And Bill, it's just about March. It's right around the corner, and it's getting mad in here, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. February flew by as it always does, Blythe. And now we're, just mere days away from March Madness and all that entails. So getting down to brass tacks for basketball and for hockey and all sorts of good stuff. State tournaments happening nearly every weekend now. And it's just a great time to be a fan of high school sports in the state of Minnesota. And one of those sports that's getting going is the sport of hockey, as we are deep into section play. And we had some good ones this week, starting off with the 7AA quarterfinal at Fogarty Arena. Coon Rapids and Blaine meeting for the 5th time in 6 years in the playoffs. Blaine hoping to defend its home ice and advance to the section semifinals. Early on, though, 5:18 in, Nathan Clark, an even strength goal from Tyler Barsness and Harry Koval makes it 1-0 Cardinals. And then late in the period, Cardinals leading 2-0, but Blaine gets one back. Alex Ernest lighting the lamp with less than a minute to play. Cardinals, though, make it 4-1 early in the second period. And then late second period on the power play, Finn Loftus deposits one home. Bengals trailed 4-2 after 2. And then the third period was all Bengals. Joe Penner scoring that one. Dane Anderson getting a goal as well. Andrew Swanson would add a tally with the score tied at 4. Swanson in front, tips it in to give Blaine a lead it would not relinquish. And then less than 40 seconds later, as you see the game-tying goal, redirected in front. The key was the net front presence, and Blaine would go on as they would add a goal 45 seconds later. Beautiful centering pass, deposited home, and it was 6-4. That one courtesy of Landon Steffen. Captain Finn Loftus led the way with a goal and 2 assists. Adam Pooter assisted on 4 of the 6 Blaine goals. And Zane Spaniel saved all 16 shots he faced in relief of Ryan Wallen. So they moved on to the semifinals on Saturday night at Amsoil Arena in Duluth, but they ultimately fell to Grand Rapids, a really good Grand Rapids team, the 2 seed, 9-1. So Andover and Grand Rapids, the top 2 seeds in the section, facing off in the section final at Amsoil Arena on March 3rd. Blaine's season ends 14-9-4, a game short of the section final.
Yeah, bummer to see Blaine fall, but we have some more on of our teams in North Metro TV. Centennial took the ice in boys hockey as well, the quarterfinal against Totino Grace, as they head out of the locker room, getting prepped and ready for playoffs. These guys get started. The Cougars, Harper Searles gets the goal early on, setting the Cougars up to have a good game. As this one continues on, Totino Grace able to tie it up. That's Sam DeYoung celebrating with his teammates after he got them back on the board. But Brock Carls getting it up. Keegan Johnson, the tying goal as the Cougars now sit 2-2. But looking at the scoreboard now, 3-2 our score, and Harper Searles has a lot to do with this next goal. Centennial Cougars start to go on a run here in the third period, now 5-2. And Centennial, again, the goalie Jack Fuller, getting the save, but ultimately Clay Deer for the Eagles got it. But the open net goal, Van Tassel gets it done to kind of solidify that win here for our Cougars to move on to the semifinals. 6-3, that final score. But Harper Searles, 2 goals, 2 assists, a great game for him, helping them advance on. And you see it as the Eagles, Howie Moore had a goal and an assist, but Wes Johnson, 27 saves. So he definitely had a lot of action on him, and our Cougars had a lot to do with that as they move on to take on Maple Grove in the semifinals.
That they did indeed, as after beating Totino Grace in the quarters, Centennial faced a familiar foe in the semifinal in Maple Grove, a team that knocked him out in the section final last season. Fogarty Arena, the site of this one. 6:03 first period. Josh Giuliani shorthanded gives Maple Grove a 1-0 lead. And then later in the period on the power play, it's Giuliani again to give Maple Grove a 2-0 lead. And then in the second period, another chance as that's Chayton Fisher, even strength goal, unassisted to make it 3-0. And then Fisher would turn provider just 42 seconds later. Fed out in front, they make it 4-0. And then Maple Grove would add insult to injury, leading 5-0 in the third period. They'd get one more for good measure. Finn Brink at 11:16. Chayton Fisher had a goal and 2 assists in the second period. Giuliani scored twice. Gunderson had 2 helpers. And Crimson netminder Toby Hopp stopped all 22 shots he faced to earn his 4th shutout of the season as the final was 6-0. And there you see the Section 5AA boys hockey bracket. It's just kind of held up according to seed. Rogers and Maple Grove, who played to a 5-4 game in favor of the Royals earlier this season, they'll meet on March 3rd up in Elk River to decide who wins the section title. Rogers, a newcomer to the section this year, and they earned the top seed. So they'll take on the Crimson. Crimson, of course, defending 5AA section champions.
So that's something that's interesting. You know, our teams, especially Centennial, if we look at them, they split the series versus Maple Grove in the regular season. Bill, what do you think was the difference maker? Why weren't they able to get it done in playoffs?
It's tough. I mean, they've dropped 4 of their last 5 meetings to the Crimson in the playoffs. So you wonder if it's something mental. They each defended their home ice this year in the regular season. But the Crimson are a good team, and they're playing really, really well right now. They've won 12 of their last 13 games, and they've really kind of hit their stride. And for some reason in the playoffs, they've kind of come out against Centennial, come out firing. And we'll see some highlights coming up here that kind of break down exactly what happened. Right here, dropped back to Giuliani on the shorthand, and the defender has a choice. He decides to not go with the shooter, decides to take away the pass, and Giuliani made him pay. And then on the power play, you see here the 2 defenders get caught kind of short side. They don't rotate quickly enough, and you see kind of in between that triangle, the guy standing on the doorstep, able to just have good position in front of the net, slid it through, he tapped it in, and you see it from the other side as well. Just not enough, quickly enough rotating on the power play, and that allowed Maple Grove to take advantage. And then later, Centennial had a chance here and fed out in front, and again, just not enough puck movement. As you see it here, they could have shared it across and then slid it down. Could have moved the defense, but instead, from the point, we decided to throw it on net through traffic, but Finn Hopp, or Toby Hopp, I should say, able to make the save. And then Maple Grove comes down, and again, defenders caught puck watching. They don't see the guy on the weak side kind of sliding to the slot, and he's able to kind of pounce on this as it gets played down low, centered across as we roll the tape. Rebound, and then he's right there. Not enough defenders in the crease to kind of muck things up. As you see it from a different angle, great angle from our camera crew at ice level. And you just see too many guys caught puck watching, not skating, not moving their feet. And ultimately, Blythe, that was the difference, and that was why Centennial, they just kind of got caught flat-footed in this game. And then it's one of those things where Centennial's not a team that's accustomed to being down 3-4 goals.
True.
So once they kind of got punched in the mouth, proverbially speaking, it was one of those things where it was going to be tough to come back. And credit to the Maple Grove defense. They're giving up 2.1 goals a game this season. They pitched another shutout in this section semifinal. They know how to play defense come playoff time, and they certainly kind of shut down any semblance of a comeback. But it was one of those things we talked about on the broadcast, Blythe, where it just seemed like Centennial was a little bit off. They were just a step slow and just not quite as sharp as they normally are, and that's sort of what we saw.
And yeah, and you brought up just maybe that mental battle that they're going through. If they haven't always done great in that playoff competition with them, what do you think is something that they can do maybe next year if they go head-to-head in the playoffs? How can they maybe overcome some of that mental stuff that maybe is clouding them as they take them on?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with regular season success. So the fact that they split this year, they beat them 6-3 pretty decisively at home, that's a good start. But Maple Grove is a perennially strong program, and they have been since 2015. And so they're always going to be someone that Centennial has to deal with. And Rogers is another good program that's going to be strong. So I think in Rogers and Maple Grove, Centennial's going to have a couple good programs to deal with for the coming future. But I think that you just have to play with a certain fearlessness and a certain reckless abandon, because as the third seed, you're not expected to beat the top two seeds necessarily. So Centennial, I think they just have to find a way to take their regular season success and figure out how to translate it to the postseason.
Yeah, and I think that comes off also for them is just how can they have that memory shift? How can they forget about what's happened maybe in their past? Because a lot of times seniors are graduating. It's not even the same team that they're going up against. And so they just need to kind of maybe think of something different as they go into playoffs. I don't know.
But I don't want.
Next
I
year.
will say before we move on, I don't want to be too negative on this Cougars team because they accomplished a ton this year.
Point.
I believe they were 18-6-3 on the season. So another tremendous success for Rich Menny and his kids, and tons of great senior contributors from guys like Owen Van Tassel to AJ Carls and others. I apologize for leaving a few out, but. A lot of really good senior guys, but you also have guys like Harper Searles and Peyton Blair and other guys that are coming up in the program. They're going to be, upperclassmen next year. So the cupboard is certainly not bare for this Cougars team, and I would expect them to continue to pile up the double-digit, 15-plus win regular seasons. They'll play anyway, and they always play tough strength of schedule. And so this Cougars team is certainly going to be a factor, like I said, along with Maple Grove and Rogers in the coming years.
Yeah, and not only did our hockey team end their season, our basketball team is getting into that playoff season as well. So they end in regular season. Get to see what our Cougar ladies did as they hit the court this past week. Maple Grove Crimson taking on our very own Cougars, getting things started. It's Coobs from the wing, drilling the early triple, getting things started. She's really been hitting from range, but so can the Maple Grove Crimson. That was Kayla Overski, the senior, showing they can answer that long distance call. But Click passing it on over, and Kantz can do it. She gets it done down low, but Coobs continues to line up from three, and why not? Hitting so many so far these last few games, but again, just turning on those jets. Overski finding that long distance as well, but Frost, she is certainly thawing out. The Crimson might need to close the freezer door as she gets things started. Littlefield to the hole. Nothing little about that play. Littlefield has done some great things the last few games, but Coobs again. Coobs hitting another triple and having the senior year end that she would want. Things continue, but popping this one back out, it's Frost, and she continues to stay thawed. They might need to call a freezer repairman. But inside the lane, this is McCall, and she worked against those two defenders and still able to get the basket. That one falls in. But Maple Grove continues to fight inside the lane. Kayla Overski finding the hole. See that game get close, 46-42. They put it up and in. Overski having a huge game for the Crimson as she continues. Overski again, long range, bang, puts it through. And the Maple Grove Crimson having a huge game from range, but Cubes found that one inside just a little bit ago. But now Old hitting from three as well. Definitely both of these teams can hit, and Grace Pullman wanted in on the three show. She gets it done. But that last one coming from Ode, she answers as the Crimson went on a run there in the second half. 62-55, our Crimson fall. But as we look at this game summary, Jordan Ode, 19 points. Kayla Overski, 16 points. So some huge contributors for the Crimson. Cubes, 16 points. Again, having that tremendous ending of regular season for her. Senior, feel really great about what she's done these last few games. Marissa Frost, 12 points. They did hold Camille Cummings to 5 points. That hasn't happened too much this season. But when you have your teammates able to step up when that's happening to one of your players that's been dominating in the points column, you know that looks good for them, feels good going into playoffs. And so the number 1 seed in 7-4A, so our team, you know, they didn't get the finish that they wanted here in this last game, but for them, I think it's gonna look good as they head in. They had some players step up that they needed to, and maybe they'll be able to learn from that heading into that first round of playoffs.
Yeah, and like you said, the brackets for girls basketball playoffs this year in 2021-2022 are out as we take a look at 7-4A, and as we said, Centennial gets the top seed in the bracket, and Blaine gets the 2 seed. So both of our schools have the top 2 seeds. And wouldn't it be fun to see Blaine and Centennial meet in the section final?
That would be fun.
But yeah, Centennial, despite that loss to Maple Grove in the regular season finale, still are in the top seed in their section. And at the end of the day, you have to win Section 7 to make it to state if you're Centennial or Blaine. Either way, but there will be some home games for Blaine and Centennial coming up. And of course, we'll have those games for you here on North Metro TV as we take a look at Spring Lake Park in Section 5 4A. And the Panthers with the 3rd seed, they'll open against the Orioles of Osseo on March 3rd at home. We'll have that for you here on North Metro TV. Top seed, we just saw them play, the Maple Grove Crimson. They get the number 1 seed after winning the Northwest Suburban Conference. They get the top seed in Section 5. So they'll be a formidable foe for Spring Lake Park to contend with as well. But it should be fun, and it should be some exciting basketball. And I think the fact that the worst of our 3 teams is a 3 seed just goes to show you the kind of quality girls basketball that we have in this area.
And like you said, if it did end up being the Bengals versus the Cougars in the section final, it would be neat. It would stink that one of our teams had to lose that way of going up against one of our other teams, but ultimately to get that far to end their season in a place like the section final wouldn't be too shabby. So
section final cat clash. So I don't know about you, by the way, Blythe, but I'm filling out a pool this year for March Madness, and you may me as well. And we had some action in the pool as well at the state level. How's that for a segue? Professional segue.
We'll take a deep dive into the pool, but I'm pumped to also dive into the March Madness brackets. But Section 2A swim final, the 7-2A Northdale pool. This is the 200-yard medley relay, and getting to see our leader touch the wall. It's Centennial. One of our teams got 3rd in that one, but Andover got the final victory in 140.62. Getting to see our Blaine Bengals getting some medals for their efforts there, and their final score was 146.06. Centennial again got 3rd. Get to see them also get to put on their medals. But now for the 200-yard freestyle, these guys hitting the pool, and you see that huge win in that race. That was Grant Wody from Duluth. Massive, massive win. But now the 200-yard IM, and as they've hit the wall, that leader, Noah Rabb from Andover, 153.02, and they hit that state qualifying time, so they'll move on. The 50-yard freestyle, not as far of a lead, but still a significant one. He gets it done. You get to see the medals get placed on these guys. Just that exciting time of year as they are reaching that end of their season for some of these guys, not being able to move on to state. But again, the medal ceremony, and our Blaine Bengals and Cougars a part of that. And you see all smiles, these guys. But the 100-yard freestyle, as they hit the pool, trying to reach out, it's Nathan Anderson from Andover getting the state qualifying time, 46.31. Now for the 50-yard freestyle, a lot longer than some of these other races. It's Grant Wodney, again from Duluth, another state qualifying time, 4:36.36. The 200-yard freestyle relay, we're having our guys just really working hard. Again, those more of those distance races. Anoka 1:28.41. Again, Centennial having some success in that one. They were able to get 4th, and you see them get their medals. Blaine was able to get 3rd in that race, and those guys looking pretty proud of what they accomplished in the pool. Not quite those state qualifying times, which everybody wants. So this will end the season for them, but it's still a lot to be proud of getting that far. 32 points they added for their team, but a 100-yard backstroke as these guys have some separation. You have to see that winner there, a huge separation, the 7 seconds. Noah Rabb again, 50.74. He gets to go on to state, and the 100-yard breaststroke, guys, fighting hard for it. And Taylor Schultz, 57.4, another state qualifying time, but Centennial, Max Schaefer had a state qualifying time in that one as well. The 400-yard freestyle relay on your screen now, and Anoka got the qualifying time for state in 3:13.60. The Blaine Bengals able to get 5th in that one, and the Centennial Cougars 7th, as you see them get their medals, and the Blaine Bengals as well. But these guys, a lot to be proud of again. And that's what's nice about some of these relays. You get the team dynamic of swimming. It's not just that individual race. I ran
really
track,
stoked.
and so I understand that. But
Make
these
it at the
guys
start of this
got to
year,
talk to us.
but I worked my butt off, and so I'm super excited. Honestly, Tyler Schultz, the first place guy, he pushes me every day. So just seeing his name up on the leaderboard as first, and then having him in the lane next to me, seeing him ahead of me, that's what pushed me today, really.
I'm really excited. I want to place higher than I did last year, and that's my only really goal right now.
Amazing. Where'd you place last
I took 20th last year.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was expecting to go in the 100 fly, but I'm really happy that I managed to scrape by in the 200 free as well.
Amazing, yeah. Is there anything that motivates you to?
For sure in the 200 free, I was racing like 4 of some of my best friends that I've been swimming I've competed against for past 5 years now. So it was really exciting to race them for the big moment to go to state.
Yeah, well, it seemed like that section meet went pretty swimmingly.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely a lot to be proud of, like I said, for our guys. And that's what's exciting, about that time of year. You get to really put everything on the line, try to make that state run if you can, and some of our athletes getting to do just that. So.
Yes, and it all kind of culminates, all the effort and all the hard work, practices and regular season culminates in the section and state tournament. So congrats to those young people for making it to state.
But basketball is coming up for our teams.
Basketball is coming up as well. We'll have some basketball broadcasts for you this week. We'll have Grant Guzzi's last game as a Spring Lake Park head coach in the regular season tomorrow night, so that should be a lot of fun. A lot of special guests planned for that broadcast. And then we've got Spring Lake Park State quarterfinal, section quarterfinal action against Osseo on Thursday, so that should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned and check out northmetrotv.com for listings, and visit our YouTube page as well if you missed the games, because they'll be posted the day after, and you can catch those on tape delay.
Yeah, so some exciting things just in store for us this week.
Yeah,
but
very much.
Definitely, like you said, the madness is starting, and now even for our teams as they hit playoffs.
Yep, no question about it. It should be fun as hockey is kind of wrapping up, or has wrapped up for our teams, and now the attention turns to basketball, to hoops.
I don't know if you felt like wearing flip-flops to the studio today, but I almost did. Just our heat wave that we've been having, and we continue to do so. I hope that trend stays for the next few weeks.
Yes. Now that we're moving away from the ice sports. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll be back with you next week. Until then, thanks for joining us this week in SportsNet.